אנחנו מחפשים מקום.
אין לנו מקום, אני מצטער מאוד.
בבקשה.
אבל תסתכל גם אתה, אין מקומות. תסתכל גם אתה.
אולי, אבל אשתי. בבקשה.
There's a million stories in the naked city, and Capernaum is no exception. The story you're about to hear is true, but none of the names have been changed because the innocent don't need protecting. It's the guilties that we are after, and you will see that there's no shortage of the guilties. My name is Thursday. Joe's Thursday. I carry a badge. My partner Frank Cannon and I, we're finishing up on some paperwork from the big guy. He's okay, I guess. But you don't want to mess with mean Bertha. She is really mean. But fortunately, they don't bother us much. You see, several years ago, back in Nazareth, we really messed up on a case. It had to deal with angels, shepherds, wise men. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The chief's been bothered like a nudist in a feather duster factory. We don't get the big cases anymore. In fact, we haven't had a good case in years. We spend most of our time at lunch in a donut shop.
What do we got up today, mean Bertha?
We got a guy out there causing trouble, the name of Jesus.
What's he doing?
He's cutting into our business. I got a call from our Gallo operation, claimed this non-union guy was moving into our territory. And she wanted us to give the grape a squeeze.
Isn't this Gallo crazy?
Sure, she's crazy, but she's our crazy.
Who you gonna put on it?
Joey and Frankie.
It's Joe and Frank. Ever since I got elected, I'm the law now. So let's do this straight.
It was more fun when we could just take care of people. We could just put them under the deck.
Under the deck?
Just a figure of speech, boss. I'll call them in. Hey, Joey and Frankie. Joe and Frank. Come on in.
Officers, the chief has a special assignment for you.
We have a disturbance we want you to look into.
A murder investigation?
A robbery?
No, somebody's moving in on our wine operation.
Bertha.
Huh?
Say what?
Sorry, Chief. We got a complaint of a 1084.
A 1084, Joe?
Yeah, that's a complaint of a disorderly conduct with a blasphemy twist.
The complaint seems to center around this Jesus character.
Investigate and give me a report, that's all.
We're on it, Chief.
We won't let you down.
How did you do that, Mean Bertha, switching back and forth like that?
I bribed the camera woman. Works every time.
It all started simple enough. We had just ordered food from a small Greek restaurant up from the precinct. Sure, it was expensive, but I figured they had to have some way to recoup their losses every time they had a Greek wedding for breaking the dishes.
Hey, Joe, pass me the baklava.
No, Frank, we've got to get out of here. Let's go.
Well, can we grab a donut for the road?
Are you still hungry? I can't believe we just finished the salad course.
There's always a good time for good food.
Let's go, Frank. Long ride, wasn't it? You okay, Frank?
Sure, Joe. The road ain't as hard as it used to be.
You telling me, Frank? Remember the good old days when we used to have some tough assignments?
That's right, Joe. Camel graffiti rings, tent vandalism, toga party riots.
Yeah, those were the days, Frank. The good old days. So now what do we do, Frank? We check out disturbances at Canaanite weddings. Come on.
It just doesn't seem right, Joe.
No, it doesn't, Frank. Say, you got a little baklava on your shirt.
Hello?
Capernaum P D, ma'am. You called us in on a 4482?
4482?
Yeah, making wine without a license.
Oh, yes, of course. Come in, officers.
What's the story, Mrs. Gallo? Somebody's whining without a permit?
Yeah, that's right. I got this gig at a wedding. Mr. and Mrs. White's daughter was getting married to the baker boy. And there was a big-time guest list. Supposed to be over 300 people there, right? So he orders 8 barrels of Burgundy. You know, really premium grapes.
Uh-huh. So what happened?
I booked the Webb wedding that day also. Only they wanted a nice Chardonnay, you know.
Not really. Webb, did you say?
Hey, yeah, maybe you know him. He's a detective in Galilee named Jack.
Jack? Jack Webb? Never heard of him.
Hi, kitty.
Shut up, cat.
Well, I had a little problem. Anyway, my delivery guys got confused. It's kind of hard to get good help on the delivery wagon.
Ma'am, just the facts.
Well, sure. Like I was saying, they got confused.
How so?
I told them to take 8 barrels of red to the Whites and 3 barrels of white to the Webbs. But somehow, that's not what happened.
Let me guess. The Whites got their Whites and the Reds got the Webbs?
No, the Whites got 3 reds and the Webbs got 8 whites.
Could have been worse.
How?
Well, the Whites could have got 8 whites instead of the red. Or they could have gotten 2 whites instead of 6 reds. Or the Webbs could have got none of their white. Now wait, the Webbs could have settled on the red. No, that would have meant...
Hey, don't hurt yourself, Frank. Anyway, why are we here?
Well, I got a call from the Whites saying they were out of reds. So I caught up with the guy that delivered the loads and found they had fallen off the wagon.
Ah, they drank the wine that was supposed to be going to the weddings.
No, they actually fell off the wagon. I think they both hit their heads. Neither one of them could remember who got what.
You know, Miss Gallo, I'm still not hearing a crime here.
Right. And by the time I figured out what happened and took over the wine, that the whites were short, they weren't short anymore. They had plenty.
What do you mean?
Well, that's what I asked Mr. White when he told me they had plenty.
And?
And he tells me that one of his guests heard that they were out of wine, and so he poured water into the barrels and turned it into wine. That's right. He turned water into wine. Dozens of people there saw him do it.
What was this character's name?
Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
That sounds familiar.
So why are you upset?
Isn't it obvious?
Not to me. What's the problem?
I make my living dumping stuff into Hope, keeping it in the dark, and waiting for it to mature enough to have dinner with.
So does my wife. What's your point?
My point is, I have a business to run. I make wine. I can't have somebody without a license, without any overhead, and no inventory start honing in on my business. I lost nearly 500 denarii on this business alone.
Did the whites show the green on the red you delivered?
Yeah, the 3 barrels that got there, they paid me for them, but
Miss Gallo, there isn't much to do if there isn't a crime.
he just made wine out of thin air and water. How can I compete with that?
I don't think you'll have to. Keep your drivers on the wagon and you won't lose any more business.
So I'm just out 500 denarii?
No, you still have your wine, but it's getting pretty annoying.
But now I'm stuck with 5 barrels of red that I thought I had sold.
So, you think it's gonna go bad? It's wine, for crying out loud.
Well, yeah, but
Look, Gallo, you want a little friendly advice?
yeah, okay. Shoot.
The next time you book a white wedding, don't get tangled up in the web.
Huh?
Stop whining and try to keep your drivers in line.
Fine. Protect and serve. Ha!
I'm afraid she might have that confused. I think that was a Boy Scout motto.
Actually, Joe, I think that's ours.
Really? I'm gonna have to come to more of those monthly meetings.
For a gal named Gallo, she sure didn't have much of a sense of humor.
Excellent observation, Frank.
So are you gonna talk to this Jesus character, Joe?
I don't think so, Frank. Anyway, we don't have nothing on this guy. But doesn't that name sound familiar to you?
Not really, Joe, but we lean on a load of lawbreakers. Could be he already has a record?
I don't think so, Frank. But you know,
What's that, Joe?
well, we've heard of this guy before. If this guy really did change water into wine, you know, we haven't heard the last of him yet.
That's for sure. We might as well write up a report on the guy and file it away. So where are we off to now, Joe?
Oh, I think we ought to swing by the white wedding.
What for, Joe? You already said there's no crime committed.
Yeah, but I've been in this business long enough to know that where there's a wedding, there's good food, and we're going. It's time for an appetizer.
What else we got today, Mean Bertha?
We got 2 recruits that we gotta send somewhere.
Who are they?
A couple of brothers named Jeremiah and Benjamin. They look like Boy Scouts.
They are Boy Scouts. What can we give them?
There's word that they've been muscling into our food distribution service in Capernaum.
Sounds good.
Come on in, men.
We're ready to go, Chief.
Officers, The chief has a special assignment for you.
How did she do that?
I don't know, but it was pretty nifty.
What do we have to do?
We have a disturbance we want you to look into. Are you up for an undercover assignment?
Sure am, Chief, as long as it's honest.
Yeah, we won't want to do anything dishonest.
We got this Jesus character supposedly bringing in some food from somewhere, and
We ain't getting our cut.
Am I seeing things, Ben?
If you are, I am too.
As I was saying, you gotta go out there and pretend to be food vendors, and you see where the food's coming from.
What do we do then?
You put 'em in the ground.
Bertha. That'll be all, man.
We're on it, Chief.
You can count on us.
Think neither of them will be successful?
Are you kidding me? They're gonna crash and burn.
Glad to see you haven't lost your touch.
Can I help you?
Capernaum P D, ma'am. We were called here on a 4832.
May we come in?
Yes.
Nurse Radish, who do I see first?
Well, doctor, there's two gentlemen here to see you.
Well, good, I called the police to send somebody out. Which room are they in?
They're in one or two. Oh, there are two crazies. I think they're in one.
I'm glad you guys can come. You can't be the police.
Hi, Doc. I'm a king.
I'm a king too.
We're both kings.
Nurse Ratchet, get me a couple of those green pills. Get these guys out of here. Send them to Dr. Strangelove.
Okay, guys. Oh, I'm going to get you some green pills, and I'm going to send you down the hall to Dr. Strangelove. So just hang out here for 1 minute, okay?
Come in, come in. Have a seat.
We never sit down.
Oh, why not?
No reason. We just never do.
So how long have you had the office here, Doctor?
I've been practicing medicine here in Capernaum for 30 years.
And when do you think you'll start doing the real thing?
Pardon me?
Never mind. What seems to be the problem?
Well, I wasn't there, but I heard from a few of my patients. There's this guy Jesus from Nazareth. A teacher, for crying out loud. He came in here and started taking my patients. I'm not very happy about this. Well, anyway, he teaches on the mountain, comes down here into town, and all these people just keep following him, by the hundreds.
I see. Is this Jesus with the circus?
No, I told you, he's a teacher.
Now, when you say he's healed, what are you talking about? The guy has the sniffles and they're dried up? Or he has a headache and it's gone?
No, no, no. I mean really sick people. Paraplegics, leopards. A patient of mine was hemorrhaging real bad. Cured him. One girl was even dead.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Did this Jesus make you some wine before this started happening? Maybe a lot of wine?
No, I wasn't there, but I'm telling you, it's all true.
Uh-huh. And how do you know it's true?
Some of my patients I've been working with for years. They're really sick. He's healed them all.
You mean the paraplegic?
He came running in here yesterday.
The leper?
Thinking about doing skincare ads.
The dead girl?
I was there when she died. There was nothing I can do.
Now let me get this straight. Patients have been coming to you for years, not getting any better, and suddenly they're doing jumping jacks in the street?
Well, yes.
A little friendly advice?
What?
Sounds like you may want to stop practicing and get a job you're good at.
Hey, I resent that. These are diseases that they haven't made cures for.
Apparently they have one.
And the one is a teacher who's been taking my business away by the caseload. He just can't go around pretending to be a doctor. I'll lose my practice.
Maybe then you could start doing the real thing.
I am doing the real thing.
Apparently not very well. Otherwise your patients wouldn't be dying.
She was really sick.
Well, isn't that why people have doctors?
Look, are you going to arrest him for practicing medicine illegally or not?
Sure we will. As soon as one of those people he's wronged comes forward and lodges a complaint.
Are you kidding me? Who in the world's going to complain about being healed?
Well, that's a good question. Do you know of anyone?
Well, I do know of the people he did heal, if that's what you mean.
Sure, just give us one.
She's a leper, or was a leper. She lives near the pool. Sure verify what I said was true.
Okay then, we'll be in touch.
Listen, I want that man prosecuted as soon as possible.
We'll look into it, Doctor. If there's anything to it, we'll pursue it. Say, Frank, write that down. That's better than protect and serve. I'll bring it up at the next meeting.
So that's it?
Like I said, we'll be in touch.
I hope so. I pay my taxes, you know. Where did you send those crazies?
Oh, I sent them to Dr. Strangelove.
Go get me a handful of those green pills.
Well, we checked out the story about this Jesus guy, and the story he was telling is he was as clean as a baby taking a bath.
Well, what do you think, Joe?
This guy gives me the heebie-jeebies.
The heebie-jeebies, Joe?
The jeebie-heebies.
I still think the guy could have had cooties.
Frank, if this leprosy stuff is really real, there must be something genuine about this Jesus character.
Do you know what you're saying, Joe? Do you want to go tell that to Mean Bertha?
I could tell you stories, Frank, but, it's terrible. Let's go, Frank.
She's scary.
A few months went by, and we kept on following up on this Jesus character. We were just filling out a few reports when a storm was blown in from the Sea of Galilee. It was real bad. As we got close to the office, it stopped. I mean, it just didn't quit. It just stopped. When we got to the office, the phone was ringing. It was Stormy Metz, and she was very upset. To say she was upset would be an understatement. She was hotter than a silver shekel on a sidewalk in the summertime. Don't try it. I'm a trained professional. Anyway, Stormy was quite incoherent. So we decided to head over toward her office over at KLP to see what the story was. What did you think of the storm we had?
That was strange, all right. I've never seen it come and go like that before.
Maybe that should be the first question we should ask Stormy when she finally calms down.
Maybe that's what she's upset about.
Could be. We'll find out.
Ah, gentlemen, thanks for coming in. Come in, come in.
What's up, Stormy? I haven't heard anybody so angry since Frank's mom had us over for Passover dinner.
Joe, you promised.
Okay, so what's up?
This man called Jesus?
What did he do now?
Well, a friend of mine is one of his followers. He goes out with him on his teaching expeditions. He's seen him do some pretty amazing things, but personally, I don't believe half of what he says he does. He's convinced this guy is the real thing.
The real thing?
Yeah, you know, the Messiah, the one sent from God.
Hey, that sounds familiar.
So what are you so upset about?
Well, did you notice the storm that blew in a little while ago?
Sure we did. In fact, we were going to ask you about it. Did it stop as quickly here as it did out by our place?
It was like nothing I've ever seen. It was one of the worst low-pressure seasons I've seen in my career. Did you hear my forecast last night?
I missed it. Did you know it was going to happen?
Well, yes, I I did, and no. That's why I'm so angry.
How so?
Well, I actually predicted the storm. I said so myself last night on my forecast. It was supposed to hang around for days.
What happened?
He happened.
Who? Jesus?
Yes, my friend Nathaniel called me right after the storm stopped and told me what happened.
What happened?
Okay, the storm came up just like I knew it would. Right when they were in the middle of the Sea of Galilee.
Go on.
Well, they were all afraid that the waves were going to sink their boat. The storm was getting stronger and stronger, the waves getting higher and higher.
Apparently, he doesn't listen to your forecast either.
Well, be that as it may, everyone on the boat was screaming for their lives. Everyone, that is, but one.
Let me guess.
Jesus?
Joe, I was going to guess.
Oh, sorry, Frank.
Yes, Jesus. And do you know what he was doing?
Turning the Sea of Galilee into wine?
No, he was down inside the boat, fast asleep.
During the storm?
Yes, during the storm. They had to go down and wake him up because they thought the storm would kill them all.
And this is why you're upset?
No. It was his response to the storm that makes me mad.
Oh? How did he respond?
He stopped it.
He stopped what?
He stopped the storm.
What? What are you talking about?
Look, they told me they woke him up, right? And they said, "Master, save us, we're all going to drown."
So did he panic?
No, he laughed at them. He said, "Why are you such cowards?" And then he got up and looked over the side of the boat and said, "Silence."
And?
The storm stopped. It didn't taper off. It didn't calm down a bit.
But how?
I don't know. There was no way the storm was going to stop. It was supposed to last for days. You know, you just can't do that.
Well, apparently someone can.
Let me get this straight. You're upset because it stopped raining?
No. Yes. I mean, he's messing with how I make my living. How would you like it if someone snapped their fingers and said, "Lawbreakers, be gone"?
I tried that. It didn't work.
Seriously, how can I ever predict what the weather is going to be like if this guy can suddenly change it?
Even if Jesus wasn't around. You never get it right anyway.
I did today. Or at least I should have.
Listen, Stormy, if you really want to get the weather right, I think you ought to talk to this Jesus character.
You know, yes, maybe I should. Maybe he'll let me predict the weather, and then he'll change it to match my predictions. That would be so cool.
Actually, Stormy, I know this Jesus character is into miracles and all. But asking a weather person to be accurate may be a little ambitious, even for him.
You're not going to do anything about it?
Sure we are.
What, Joe? We can't arrest someone for changing the weather. We don't even have a code for that.
No, I don't suppose we do.
So, what are you going to do?
I say we grab a bucket of chicken and a blanket. Have you seen what the weather is today?
What do you make of this, Joe? You think this Jesus character actually has the wind of the sea at his command?
I don't know, Frank. But you see how this storm just quit today. Do you have any other explanation?
I'm not a meteorologist, Joe, but Stormy sure seemed convinced that Jesus had something to do with it.
Did it sound familiar?
Not really, Joe. You?
Yeah, what did she say before? The Messiah. The one sent from God. Haven't we heard that before?
I don't know, Joe. All I know is we need to get something to eat, whether Jesus is involved or not.
Yes, it's time for the main course, Frank. A little while later, we were finishing up on some paperwork when a fax came in. It was from Jeremiah and Benjamin. Seems like the local union 511 was lodging a complaint against some guy about catering in the park. I thought it would be a good break to get away from this Jesus character. But taking a closer look at it, yep, there it was. Jesus was causing more trouble.
What is it, Joe?
Just a fax, Frank. Just a fax.
I know that, Joe. What is it?
Apparently, our friend Jesus is back making many enemies.
More wine?
No, this time he's feeding multitudes. I think we better go check it out.
Well, I guess I better grab a file for a 2963.
Yeah, catering without a license. Well, let's go.
Say, you think we should stop for a bite to eat, or will there be leftovers?
From the sounds of it, I think there'll be plenty. I hope you're in the mood for fish. We arrived at the scene just off the coast of the Sea of Galilee. By that time, there was a bunch of guys gathering up in baskets, fish and bread. It looked pretty good. I picked up some bread for evidence. I couldn't believe how many people were gathered here. I couldn't see him, but I heard Jesus teaching in the distance. Before we approached him, we sought out a couple of locals.
Over here!
Benjamin? Jeremiah?
Yes, that's us. Benjamin and Jeremiah, best hot dogs in Galilee.
People come from miles around just for our hot dogs.
You called the local union with a complaint?
We sure did.
Yeah, we thought that's how we could get a message to you. We're undercover policemen.
We want you to arrest him.
On what charge?
For distributing food without a license.
Tell us exactly what happened.
Well, he's been teaching here for the better part of the day.
Yeah, the crowds have been unreal. We thought we'd make a killing.
You got a license?
Of course.
All right, go on.
So anyway, we figured no one else was working this event, so we figured we'd clean up.
How much for that hot dog anyway?
5 denarii, 6 with a drink and some fig chips.
6 denarii? That's highway robbery.
We prefer to think of it as the Galilean way.
Say, what's in those things anyway?
Meat.
What kind of meat?
Ixnay on the Itme Embe.
It would have took a foreign language class in school.
Frank, it's pig Latin. Pig Latin. Maybe that's what's in them.
Pork?
Maybe.
Beef?
Perhaps.
Mutton?
Could be.
Veal?
Possibly.
Squirrel?
No squirrel.
You mean you don't know what you're selling?
Sure we do. Hot dogs.
That's comforting.
Yeah, but they're delicious. How about you try one on the house?
Frank!
No thanks, Joe. I like to know what I'm eating.
Can we get back to why we're here?
Alright, so this Jesus guy's been teaching here all day, and the crowds are starting to get real hungry. So I figured that we'd start to get busy.
I heard that some of the people were going up to him and saying that their stomachs were growling, that they're hungry.
Like, we weren't even here.
Well, maybe they don't like junk food.
Hey.
Well, what did Jesus say?
He told the disciples to get into groups of 50 or 100 and he'd take care of it.
Take care of it?
Yeah, you know, like feed the people.
Did he bring his own wagons full of food?
He didn't bring anything. In fact, his followers didn't bring any food either.
So how is he planning on feeding them?
I heard him asking his followers if there is any food at all. One of them said that one kid had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish.
Sounds like a kid's sack lunch. What did Jesus say about that?
He just told them to get the food and get the people organized. Then he blessed the food and started distributing it.
Well, that much food wouldn't go very far.
But it did. It fed them all. There was even 12 baskets left over.
Let me get this straight. Jesus takes these 2 sardines, 5 biscuits, and manages to feed these 5,000 people? That's impossible.
Yup, that's right.
Joe, that's really not possible.
I know, Frank, but where else did the food come from?
That's why you need to arrest him. He's distributing food without a license.
It's all about volume.
What?
How many people you figure are here?
5,000 or more.
How many hot dogs you got in that wagon?
I don't know, maybe 200?
I'm no math major, but I'm failing to see how this little shrimp of a hot dog stand is going to fulfill the needs the way Jesus did.
That's hardly the point.
Yeah, how is anybody supposed to make money if people are handing out free food?
Did you say free?
Yeah, he just took it and started giving it away to everyone.
We can't arrest anyone for having a picnic. If he didn't charge anyone for the food, he hasn't committed a crime.
You want a little friendly advice?
Only if it will help us sell these hot dogs.
Well, if you're looking for a miracle, I think you ought to talk to Jesus.
Well, have you ever thought of selling something that people would want to eat instead?
That's a good idea. Any suggestions?
Well, it's awfully hot out here. How about something cool and refreshing?
Like ice cream?
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, Benjamin and Jeremiah's ice cream.
That's too long. How about Ben and Jerry's ice cream?
I'd bite.
Yeah, what a good idea.
Yeah, it would be more stable than this hot dog business.
What did you say?
It's way too...
No, wait. Before that.
It's gotta be more stable.
That's it.
What's it?
Stable. I just remembered where we heard that before.
Thanks, boys. Good luck with your ice cream business. I'm sure it'll be a big hit.
Alright, thanks. Bye.
What are you talking about, Joe?
Remember about 30 years back that when we were working the Bethlehem beat?
Vaguely.
We were sent out to investigate a celestial disturbance, remember?
Yeah, and there was something about a young woman that couldn't find a room, and she ended up having a baby in that stable.
Do you remember what she said when we asked her what she was going to name the baby?
Yeah, I think the father said something like they were going to name the baby what the angel told them to name it in the dream he had. His name was...
Jesus.
Joe, you don't think it's the same?
Why not? Remember all the weird stuff that happened that night? It's the same way Stormy's friend described this Jesus, the Messiah.
But Joe, there are a few kids in this world named Jesus. Wait a minute, I seem to have a recollection of talking pretty extensively to the father that night.
Yeah, remember I talked to him too. You remember? We had a hard time believing the stuff that he was telling us.
You mean about the dreams?
Well, yes. And that, she was told in the dream that she was going to have a baby conceived by God.
I remember that. I also remember very clearly what he looked like.
What are you doing, Frank?
Trying to get a good look at Jesus. No, that's not him.
Why do you say that, Frank?
He doesn't look anything like his father.
He wouldn't. You know, he said that he was conceived by God.
Oh.
If he's performing all these miracles, it would make sense.
Yes, I suppose it would. So what do we do?
I think it's about time we told the chief. I think we've solved the 30-year-old mystery.
Good to see you again, guys. I've received your report, and I just want to tell you, you did a fine job gathering all the information that you have.
Thank you, Chief. We like to be thorough.
I'd like to wish you luck in your next assignment.
Thank you, Chief. Next assignment?
In Jerusalem. That's right. I'm taking you off this case and reassigning you to our Jerusalem office.
Is it because you can't find anything to charge this Jesus on?
Not exactly. I'm issuing a warrant for his arrest.
On what charge, Chief?
Blasphemy.
What did he say that was blasphemous?
He's claiming to be the Son of Man. He's doing so many of these miracles that people are starting to believe him.
Chief, that's really what we wanted to talk to you about.
Oh?
We think he might be the real Messiah.
Look, we just think you ought to know that we think this is the same Jesus from 30 years ago.
What? It's impossible.
No, sir. We were with Bethlehem PD then, and went out on a celestial disturbance. Long story, but the upshot is, we think he might be the one that is the Messiah.
Look, I'm arresting them. That's final. You're off the case. It's the end of it.
Even if this guy is who he says he is?
Especially if he is who he says he is.
I don't get it. Why?
Look, you guys aren't the only ones who've been keeping an eye on Jesus. The high priests, Caiaphas, the Sadducees, you name it. They're all convinced that Jesus is trying to take over.
But you just can't arrest him on trumped up charges. This is what we stand for.
I've got to silence this now before it gets even worse. Which is why you're off the case. Sorry, boys.
Well, what's going to happen to him?
Honestly, I have no idea. I'm a politician. I'm going to leave it up to the people.
But don't they love him?
Some do. Many don't.
What could happen to him?
Probably nothing. I'm hoping to scare him out of this public demonstration stuff.
But Chief, you don't understand. We've seen what he can do. He's the real deal.
Let's hope for his sake that he isn't. Look, I appreciate everything you've done for me in this case.
Just doing our job, sir.
I'm doing mine. I hope you guys understand.
We do, and I'm hoping everything's work out for the best.
Me too, boys. Me too.
We filed our report and told the chief that we had to fill him in on all the investigation. We figured he'd like to have the whole picture, but we were wrong.
What do you think the chief's going to do when he finds out that Jesus is the one that's been prophesied about, Joe?
I'm just a simple cop, Frank. I just like simple things. Like a sound of a cell slamming on a bad guy. Like a smile of a child when we have returned his lost dog. And yet, Frank, I admit it, I like a good donut. But most of all, I like wrapping up a case after a job well done. And I like that music.
Me too, Joe. Me too. Is it too late for a donut, Joe?
It's never too late for a donut, Frank.
Don't you remember how good we felt that night, Joe?
Yes, I do, Frank. Now we're being reassigned again because of him.
Why do so many people hate him?
Because he's a genuine article, Frank. I really believe he is.
I agree, Joe. All the evidence we've seen points that way. I really believe that he is the Messiah.
Yeah, and it all started years ago when the baby was born in the stable in Bethlehem. We were part of that greatest story ever told.
You have a Merry Christmas, Joe.
You too, Frank.
sin no more. I'll be willing. Remove this cup from me.
Unto you is born this day a Savior, which is Christ the Lord.
Merry Christmas, everyone.